Hey everybody, before we get started on today's video, I want to take one last chance to remind you that ChallengerFest is next week. We're going to do our drag racing on Thursday, September the 16th at Beach Bend Raceway. We'll have our car show Friday night in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the Fairfield Inn. Be a massive car show, really good time. And we'll do awards on Saturday night. Our Racing for Vets charity auction will also happen like we always do on Friday night during the car show. So that's how we're going to set it up this year. We worked with Holly and their new event called Mo Party. They had it for the first time last year and it was great. Looking forward to doing that again. We aligned our calendar with them last year and it worked out really well for everyone so they could capitalize not only on travel if they needed it, but also time off of work. So we did that again for 2021. So we've set the schedule up so that people can do both without any conflicts. So again, drag racing is Thursday for ChallengerFest at Beach Bend Raceway. Friday during the day, you've got Mo Party that you can attend. They get that event kicked off on Friday. Our car show starts Friday evening at the Fairfield Inn there in Bowling Green. Then Saturday, you can go to Mo Party again, do that during the day. We have our awards ceremony for ChallengerFest on Saturday night, so there's no conflicts. Again, so everybody can get the maximum out of their travel and their time off work. Worked really good last year, so we expect it to go great again this year. Leading into that, I want to mention Martin Dodge again. They are and have been a huge sponsor and supporter of ChallengerFest for the past few years, and they are offering true dealer pricing on your Mopar order, whether that's a factory order or an on-the-lot purchased vehicle, if you mention the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. As part of that, if you're local, they're also going to kick in oil changes and tire rotations for the first year or 10,000 miles. If you're not local, they will ship the car, they can handle all that, no problem. You still get that true dealer pricing. There's no games, no muss, no fuss, set price, good to go. I've had a couple of people email me and say, hey, they took advantage of that from Martin Dodge, and it was a really good experience with excellent pricing. They also keep the rare part that might happen to have a problem. These Mopars are pretty durable. We don't see them break too much stuff at the track, but don't let that deter you from being afraid to race the car. They do keep the normal stuff, axles, drive shafts, things of that nature, differential maybe, in stock, and they keep technicians that can take care of our folks and have in the past very quickly replaced those parts in the rare event something happens to go wrong. They're right there to take care of everybody and give us a lot of support while we're at ChallengerFest. So I want to mention those two things. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Now let's get on to today's video. So people have been asking me, what am I going to do to get Yo Man Go here ready for ChallengerFest? Well, that's it. And I'm only half kidding. I am going to go ahead and do an oil change because it's about due, and I'm really curious how the E85 has impacted the oil change interval. So I'm going to be sending a sample off to have it tested and see how the oil looks and compare it to a sample before I was running E85. I've been hearing a lot of people say you need to change your oil more frequently with E85 for various reasons. I want to get a sample and have it tested so I'll know for sure what the oil change interval should sort of look like. So stay tuned for that. And one of the guys over on the Hellcat forum, I've mentioned him before, goes by like 16 Hellcat Go Man Go or 16 HC Go Man Go. His name's Mike. He started making these magnetic oil drain plugs, and man, you could probably hang from that thing. I mean, it's got a very strong magnet on it, and he kind of machine or custom fits them into a factory drain plug. So I'm going to put that in at the same time. And I've worked on a pretty nice little E85 tune-up. If you've been following the channel, you know I'm going to start racing on E85 this fall. So got a little E85 tune-up in the laptop here. We're going to get ready to go for the track. And that's really it. Everything else on Go Man Go is ready to go. And yes, I am using the European 0W40 Mobil 1. I'm not sponsored by Mobil 1 at all. It just happens to be a really good oil that I can get locally very easily and reasonably priced. And then into the boutique stuff, you've heard me say that before. If I could find the Pennzoil Platinum 0W40 still in 5-quart jugs, I'd still be using it. But when SRT switched over to Pennzoil, they signed a contract. What this stuff's all about, it's always about the money, right? And Pennzoil no longer offers the 0W40 in a 5-quart jug, at least that I can find. I have to go get the SRT stuff either from the dealer or from one of the local parts stores. It's quite a bit more expensive, so this works great. I don't get hung up on all the API, SN, SM, SL, blah, 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 blah. They changed that. This Mobil 1 oil, not technically the European version, I don't guess that it, I don't know why that would even matter, but the Mobil 1 0W40 used to be what was spec'd for the SRT vehicles until, they signed a contract with Pennzoil. Now all of a sudden the Mobil 1 doesn't meet the requirement according to the owner's manual, quote, quote, quote. I could care less, that's what I'm putting in it. Oh, I forgot the one last thing I am trying to get finished before ChallengerFest, and I went ahead and peeled the Plasti Dip off of one of my wheels, so I have to do it now. I forced myself to do it so I couldn't get lazy. I have ordered this kit, and it's Plasti Dip. There's dozens, if not hundreds, of those videos out in YouTube land, but I was able to hunt down a Brass Monkey color. Interestingly, it came with a clear top, which is kind of funny. So this must be, I don't know, it took me a minute to find it. It must be a custom-made color from somewhere. But I'm going to try to change the wheels over to Brass Monkey. I think I mentioned this before. The wheels are weld. I think they're called S71s or S71s, I believe is what they're called. And they are a forged, polished aluminum wheel. I got tired of having to keep cleaning them and polishing them to keep them looking nice. So I actually put black Plasti Dip on them, if I can flip this up, a couple of years ago, and it has held up really, really well. I've started kind of peeling it a little bit, but that has held up really good. I think this has been on here for like 4 years, so it's worked great. It's a flat black, and it was to match the Race Star front runners that I use. I kind of like the Brass Monkey look, and I thought for something different, I would Plasti Dip these Brass Monkey, just to have a little color change. Something a little bit different when it's in race mode. So that's another thing I'm going to work on, get that done today. You know, there's something eerily therapeutic about this. So here's where we ended up. These are the Race Star Dark Star front runners that I use. Some people complain about the shank lug nuts that they come with. You can see there it's kind of long and has a little washer on it. And I struggled with them too when I was trying to use a deep well socket on these. The trick is to use a little stubby socket. So what happens if you're using a deep well socket is as you're trying to thread the lug nut on the stud, it'll hit the stud and push back into the socket and no longer make contact. But as you can see, this little short stubby socket, it pushes against the lug nut. Now you can get on there and make positive contact with the stud and you're good to go. So there's your pro tip. You do still have to deal with a little janky washer that goes on these shank lug nuts, but these work well and the price was right. They're super lightweight, and the more expensive brands honestly aren't that much lighter, so I'll live with it. And I didn't want to completely peel off all of the Plasti Dip because I kind of wanted the back just to stay black, to be honest. Nobody sees the back. It'll help me use less product. So I just did kind of the spoke area. And the way I made that happen is I just used a razor blade to kind of go around that lip right there so that I got a nice clean break when I peel the Plasti Dip off. And if you haven't fooled with Plasti Dip before, and I can't imagine anybody that hasn't, the trick is to put it on thick. So put on several coats, nice and thick, and it makes it peel off like a decal, easy peasy. So now I'm ready to clean the wheels up and get to Plasti Dipping them. And I bought a kit because I wanted everything simple, easy, and it's about the only way I could find the Brass Monkey color. So these 4 cans are all Plasti Dip and Brass Monkey. Came with a can of spray, which, I don't know, it says designed by professionals for professionals. We'll see what it actually smells like when we use it, but it's probably glass cleaner, to be honest. And then it has some dip release agent, which goes on the outer edge of your tire, kind of like Armor All or one of those shiny things, and it will keep the Plasti Dip from sticking to the rubber. You can peel that right off at the end. Did come with a microfiber towel, yay. A plastic bag in case you're doing the wheels on the car, which I won't be using. And this giant rubber band, and that was worth the price of admission right there. I'll make good use of that. So I cleaned the wheels up really good. I did it twice with the stuff that came with the kit, the pre-dip spray. It did smell a lot like that foaming window cleaner. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's what it smelled like, and it felt the same too, but it worked. And then the dip release is like that tire dressing gel that I've used before. So probably the same stuff. So if you can't or don't want to pay for the kit and you already have some of this stuff around, like a cleaner and some of this, you're probably good to go. But again, I had to get it because I wanted the Brass Monkey and it's the only way I could find it. So now with everything cleaned up, I did tape off the valve stem just because I didn't want to take a chance on me peeling the Plasti Dip off and it causing it to start to come off around the whole wheel. The edging or that stuff's on there, it's supposed to make it peel off the tire. I'm assuming it's going to work really well. The tire's nice and shiny, so that's going to work. But we're ready to go. I didn't show you all that because it's pretty boring. Let's get to the fun stuff. I decided to go ahead and mask off the hub. I did that before, and that's just so when I mount the wheel I don't have any problems. And I'm going to start on the back so I can get kind of used to the spray. And like I said, you want to put it on thick so that it's easy to peel off. Okay, it's the next day. I let them dry overnight. That's one of the things I always personally struggle with when I'm using something like this. I'm not gonna call it paint because that's not really what it is, and I don't treat it, you don't want to treat it like paint either, but when I put a color on something, it's like I can't help but go look at it, and I guess I get obsessed with looking for any imperfections that I should touch up. So I've learned, for me personally, I put them in the shop, shut the door, and leave it alone overnight, and that way I'm not tempted to go and fiddle with some little bitty thing that will probably dry and level out and not be a problem, and then I end up messing it up big time and causing myself a lot more work. Yes, I am still wearing the same shirt. Don't judge, I know you've done it too. And the wheels came out awesome. It's exactly what I was looking for. The Brass Monkey matches very, very close to the factory color, which is what I was hoping. I wasn't sure. There's a couple of things, I'm going to show them to you. Don't worry, I'm going to show them to you in just a second, but there's a couple of things that I would do different if I was starting over again. First thing I would do different is I would put a couple of base coats of just a generic color I can go pick up anywhere, like this flat black. The idea with Plasti Dip, and most of you guys already know this, is to get it on thick because that makes it super easy to peel off. If you just get it on thin, that's why I was saying don't treat it like paint. You can get it coated where the color's actually there, but the material's on so thin that if you ever go to remove it, it's coming off in like little bitty pieces. If you ever try to remove like a price tag off of something and it just keeps coming off in little pieces, it's annoying. If you put this on heavy enough, you can literally just grab it and peel it off like you saw, but the key is getting it on thick. Not too thick where it runs. You want to do a couple of coats, but they're heavy, wet, medium coats is what I would call it. And because the Brass Monkey color is kind of hard to find, and by the way, if you know where I can find some of that, leave me a comment in the comment section. I still am looking, and it's either sold out or I can only find I can get it from one place. If I could have just run down to the store and gotten more, I probably would have just done a couple more coats of the Brass Monkey. But since it's kind of a boutique, hard to get color, I would have started with a couple of coats of just a simple color like flat black, and then gone with the Brass Monkey just to make it the color that I wanted so that I knew I had enough to do those skinnies and my race rear wheels. And I only did the front side and back side, not the barrels of the rear tires. I did the full wheel on the front runners. I went through 3 3/4 cans, so there's only about a quarter of a can left of 4 cans, so it didn't go very far, and I probably could have used maybe one more coat on everything, which would have taken probably another can, maybe 2. And like I said, start with a base color if you're using something custom. Cleaner worked well, I had no troubles at all, and the dip release is awesome. This stuff, like I said, it's probably that tire dressing gel is what it is at the end of the day, but where I went back and started to peel off, I was trying to be conscious of not, I started to realize I was getting low on the Brass Monkey. I didn't want to just spray it real heavy on the tire itself, which is a key to getting it off. And so I was a little bit stingy on the edge. I was real kind of careful to just get it on the wheel, but there was some overspray. And this stuff literally, I was able to just wipe off the overspray off the actual rubber part of the tire with just a microfiber towel, no problem. So let's see how they turned out. And there you go. They'll probably pop a little bit brighter in sunlight, but that is what they look like. Just a subtle change, but I was ready for one. The flat black, while it looked good, this looks even better. And you're probably curious, how close does it match? Well, hopefully you can see that. That's a factory front wheel, OEM wheel, and the Brass Monkey Plasti Dip. So very, very, very close. It might even be close enough for a touch-up if you were happen to have like a little curb mark or something. Don't hold me to that, but it could be. And I don't know if it was just this color, but the product seems to be improved over the flat black that I used a few years ago. It went on easier and actually dried smoother than the black I had before, so I think they may have improved the product. I'm just not 100% sure if it's just this color or overall, but they look great. Well, that's enough for today. We'll have to wait till ChallengerFest to see the actual wheels on the car on Go Man Go here. That's going to be the debut. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Be sure to check us out on Instagram. It's @Speedys_garage, as well as the website, www.speedysgarage.net. And hopefully, I see you at ChallengerFest next week.